Right, Snake. This is kind of the second start for Skid Row.
Yeah.
New lineup, new album. Is it tougher this time? I mean, you had a kickstart with your debut album. I'm sure a lot of people remember you, of course, but
right.
Is it tougher now?
I think so. I mean, yeah, but we were prepared for that. We knew it would be. Whenever you have a history of, a certain 5 guys in a band and you create, a bunch of records and tour and whatnot, people obviously get used to that and they want to see that. So we knew that when we got new members in the band that it was going to be an uphill climb, but we've always been prepared for stuff like that. And we actually welcomed it, and we're like, we want to convert people. We want people to know that, yeah, we understand your skepticism, but by the same token, just listen to it and look at it with an open mind, and you won't be disappointed, guaranteed.
What was it like writing Skid Row music again after 7 years? Is it possible to hear the 7 years between the albums, Subhuman Race and Thickskin?
Yeah, I think so. I think what happened with this writing process more so than ever before, with the exception of when we were writing the first record, was there was no pressure on us at all. Rachel and I just got into a room and just started working and sort of finding each other out again, and figuring out where we were sort of personally. Like we had never not been friends. We've always been friends and always hung out together and stuff like that. But it's kind of when you get down and sit in a room by yourselves and start expressing certain emotions that you start to find out who that person is at that moment in their life. And he as well with me. And it didn't take very long. We realized that, a lot of stuff had happened to us both, individually and collectively. And so when those emotions start coming out, you start feeding into that. I felt like this time we had more of a grasp on where each other stood than maybe since the very first record. It was really interesting, and it was a great experience, like I said, because there was no negativity, there was no one breathing down our necks. It was just us in a room, and then we go into rehearsals, and there's so much respect amongst the 5 members of the band that there's never like these brawling arguments. It's all about, being passionate about what you do. Sometimes there's tension there, but it never gets to the point where there's a lack of respect. And I think really that's the most important thing with this record, was that we had so much respect for one another and continued to do so, that, the song was all that mattered, making the song as good as it could possibly be and without compromising yourself. And I think that we succeeded on that level.
And that makes a big difference from what you were used to.
Well, I mean, when we first got together, it was just Rachel and I writing then, too, and there was no pressure. As, you get successful and stuff like that, other voices start coming into play, and there's more pressure put on you, and we've always worked well under pressure, but as long as it's good pressure, not bad pressure, And I think, but what happened with us is, as from album to album, people wanted more and more of a say, which I don't have a problem with until it becomes personal. You know what I mean? When it becomes like, well, I don't like your idea because you don't like my idea. That's just ridiculous. It's childish. And that's kind of what it came to. Not between Rachel and myself, but between, other members of the band, mainly Sebastian. And it became like this kindergarten sort of, tug of war. And it made the writing process for Rachel and myself really unenjoyable. And it should never be that way. Because you're sitting here trying to express yourself in the best way that you know how, but then all of a sudden you got things going on in your brain like, well, he's going to hate it, so what's the point? It's almost, it was really inconducive to being creative at a certain point. And that's gone now. So it's back to like, we love jamming together and writing together and hanging out together, and that's a big part of it. And that's one of the most gratifying things for me, is that since we've been back together since January 2000, we haven't had one argument. Not one friggin' argument, because of the respect factor.
Is that one of the reasons why the songs on Thickskin are pretty different? That you respect each other's ideas and you don't argue?
So. I think with every record that we've done, though, there's been various sides that you've seen. The first record, you have a song like Making a Mess, but you also have 18 in Life, Slave to the Grind, you have, Monkey Business, and then you have In a Darkened Room, or Quicksand Jesus. And then, with Subhuman Race, there's, My Enemy and Breaking Down. So there's, and everything in between. And that's not done by, it's not done by a formula or anything. That's just kind of the way it works out, because there are a lot of different personalities within the band.
Did you ever consider to carry on without Sebastian when you booted him?
At first, no. We didn't want anything to do with the band. Rachel, Scotty, and myself were done. It became such a miserable and tiring experience and so unenjoyable that we just wanted to get away from it as far as possible. And I think that was actually a really, really good thing, because after a couple of years, when we decided that we wanted to do this again, we felt that we felt energized, and we felt like, if we were going to do this, we have to have the right people in place in order to do this, that want the same things that we do, that it's about the band. It's not about, your personal success. It's about the band's success. And, everybody has an ego. Everybody does. And some are good and some are bad. And we definitely have our egos in this band. But they're all kept in check because we keep each other in check. And again, it goes back to the respect factor, The respect that I have for the other members in this band is overwhelming, and I think it goes all around, and that enables us to be a band, to sit there and hang out with each other on tour buses and planes and go out to dinner and go on vacations together and shit like that. That never happened in the past. Never. I can't tell you. Maybe there was a couple business dinners that we had together as a band with our various, lawyers or whatever, and so on and so forth.
What is it like communicating with your previous vocalist through the press? It's not like you don't speak directly to each other.
No, I haven't spoken directly to him in a long time. He loves to, take the piss out of us and as much as he can. And I've just, whenever I've been asked about the situation, I just tell the truth. I accept responsibility for my hand and everything that did go wrong, whatever part I played in that, I accept responsibility. I think with Sebastian, it was always somebody else's fault. It was never his fault, Like, his ego never got out of control, and that's just not true. It's just not true. And I'm not saying, like I said before, we all have egos, and it all depends on how you look at this thing. I and Rachel and Scotty, we all always looked at any sort of success and any sort of good things that have come our way as I've always viewed as a blessing, not a right of birth or anything like that. It's not like we deserve it, It's like, man, you've been given a gift, and that's the way I always viewed this. And then that's why when, you have success and then you have the down climb of success, and it happens to everybody, but I'm perfectly fine with that. Do I want to sell a bazillion records? Of course I do, But by the same token, I thank God every day that I'm a happy guy, that I wake up and I'm happy and I'm around my friends, and every day that you breathe in is a good day, And I've had the opportunity of a lifetime with this band, where I've just been able to see and do everything that most people don't never get a chance to do. And I think that's a blessing. I'm very humbled by that. And I don't think that Sebastian's ever been humbled by anything.
I know that you've been offered a lot of money to reunite with Sebastian. Is it more important for you to be happy than to earn a lot of money?
Without a doubt. I would not have done this again, nor would anybody else, if we weren't happy. I can promise you that. Because there was no way I was going to put myself through, personally, what I went through in like 94 and 95. There was just no way. I couldn't do it again, And they offered us a lot of money to do it. And it wasn't even a question with Rachel, Scotty, and myself. It was immediately, no. We didn't even give it a thought. There wasn't even a thought process to it, because we knew, I'm sure people change. And I'm sure I have. I'm sure Rachel has. I'm sure Scotty has. But that memory of that time is just so embedded in my soul that I can't seem to get rid of that, I'm fine with letting bygones be bygones. I got no problem with that. I wish Sebastian all the success in the world. I have no ill will towards him whatsoever. He has a ton towards me, but that's fine, because it doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me. But he's a very talented man, and he's a great singer, a great front man. But he's just, our time together ran its course and it's over. And I'm really, really happy doing what I'm doing now. And I don't want to fuck with that, I don't want to fuck with that because people are offering a lot of money, I've made a lot of money in this business. I've lost a lot of money in this business. It comes and it goes. I don't care. I care about being happy. Sure. That's what the most important thing.
I saw you playing with Motley Crue back in '89. That was a great show, and there was so much energy on stage. Are you still that hungry as you were
Absolutely.
back then?
I think yes, we are, and I have to give credit to our singer Johnny and our drummer Phil for that. I really do, because after touring and making records for like 15 years now or whatever, I think that it's easy. It could be easy to become somewhat complacent. But Johnny and Phil came into the band, and they were like just total energy, nonstop energy, and just this desire to succeed and this burning ambition. And I looked at that, and it brought me back to why I started playing music in the first place, it brought me back to being that kid in front of the mirror, trying to emulate Joe Perry or Eddie Van Halen or Ace Frehley or Randy Rhoads or Hendrix or whatever. And that feeling I had lost for a long time, admittedly. I had lost it for a long time because it became so much about everything else that, when your music and your passion for that music becomes secondary or third down the pecking order, your list of priorities are wrong. And mine became that, And I thank them, because I think by seeing that ambition and that burning desire to succeed immediately brought me back to that and gave me that again. And now it's pretty evident that we all have it, and which is why we tour as much as we do. I don't think there's a whole hell of a lot of bands that go out and do as much as we do as far as touring and traveling and stuff like that. It's just a nonstop, ongoing process, and it could be a lot of hard work, but it's total labor of love. So it's really all that matters.
What does the old material sound like with the new members? Do you stay true to the
Yes,
original versions?
Absolutely. When Johnny's attitude is and has always been, he wants to do justice to those songs because he respects that work, and he genuinely likes the music. So he doesn't want to sit there and try to be Sebastian. That's not the point. It's the point just for him to show respect for those songs by being himself. And you'll see if you're here tonight. You'll see. It's you can close your eyes or keep them open actually, and you'll understand it. Because there's just a lot of energy up there, and there's a lot of fire, and he's a big part of that. And he wants to go out there and hit those notes the way they were on the record, and do justice to them, and also make sure that people get that we have a new record out, and that's he is the voice of Skid Row now, and he is the front man. It's his band now.
You took your time before this album since reunion because, as you said, you had no pressure on you. But now you have a certain pressure before the next album. Will it take that long before we have the next Skid Row album out?
I'll tell you what, the problem, and it's not been a problem, but the situation with us always has been and continues to be, is that we tour so much. We tour so much. Where most bands will go out and do 6 months on a tour or whatever. We've been out since the end of April, beginning of May of last year. And we're going to continue to go probably till September, So it'll be well over a year. A lot of bands don't do that anymore. But we've always been a band that's toured anywhere between 14 months and 22 months in a cycle. And so when you do that, it's great to be able to do that, but it also takes away from the creative process of making another record. Because for us, it's always been a difficult chore to write on tour. We can come up with riffs and shit like that and some lyric ideas and whatnot, and then when we go home and we take a break and have a week or two off, and then we can clear our heads and not be in, okay, time to get on a bus mode, time to get to the hotel mode, time to do sound check mode. It's a different story, you know what I mean? It's a totally different mindset for us. So I'm hoping that it doesn't take as long. I don't think that it will. I think what happened last time is that we basically recorded the record twice. It was done, and then we listened to it, and that was one of the great things about doing it the way we did, was we, for the first time in our careers, we were able to be objective about our own album. Before it was, you write, you go in and record, you release it, and it's done, regardless. This time we wrote, recorded it, went, it's not done. So we re-recorded a lot of stuff, wrote more stuff, and then, you know, finally finished it. And that was the big advantage, although it took longer. For me personally, I'm happy that we did that, because I wouldn't have been satisfied with the record had it been released the way it was in its prior form.
What about the Skid Row live record, now that you're touring that much?
We've been talking about this forever, and I think there's a couple of things that we might do. There's just been a situation that came up to us about doing a show in high definition in HD, and so having it filmed and obviously recorded and whatnot in high def. So that's one option, and we've always toyed with the idea of recording, you know, shows from everywhere on the tour and making a compilation of those songs. Not just one show, but just taking different elements from, like, different songs from different arenas or clubs or theaters, whatever the case may be. Because they're all different, you know what I mean? And I like that. I like the variety of something like that. So we'll see.
What is the biggest difference between touring before and now? Is there
that we all get along? That we really get along and we enjoy each other's company. That's the biggest difference. There's no, like, okay, Sebastian's over here, the rest of the band's over here, and I'm in the middle. You know, trying to make peace between both sides and really, you know, doing as good a job as I could, but obviously not good enough. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. I think that we really have a lot of fun, man. I mean, you know, even during soundcheck, which you saw, we're just laughing our asses off and taking the piss out of each other, and that's the way it should be, man, you know? It's really the way it should be, and that's the way it was back in the day when we first started, you know? It was that childlike enthusiasm, you know, that fearlessness. And, you know, when you start making money and generating money for not only for yourself, but for a lot of other people, you know, it's like, okay, you've got this tremendous responsibility on your shoulders, because you're not only supplying yourself with a certain lifestyle, but you're actually supplying other people with a lifestyle as well. But the one thing that maybe we didn't realize as much as we should have is that, you know, everybody else who was around us had other clients or other artists or whatever. So they could, you know, if this thing didn't work, they go to that or go to that. With us, this has to work, you know, it just has to. And so now we made it work again.
Times are changing, the music scene is changing. Is it possible for you to get as popular as you were before?
I don't know. I mean, history would tell you no, you know. But it's funny because I see younger and younger audiences at our shows. I mean, there's the diehard fans who've been with us from the beginning who are, you know, my age or whatever. And then there's kids showing up, 18, 19-year-old kids that I'm just like, damn, this is really cool. And then, you know, we sit and we talk and talk to them and get an education in a sense. You know, why are you here and why aren't you at the, you know, the Good Charlotte show or something like that? And, you know, it's just because it's rock and roll, you know. It's there's no pretense to it. It's not pretentious at all. It's not presumptuous at all. It's just, you know, just full throttle, full on, and a lot of energy and a lot of sweat and a lot of beer, you know, blood, sweat, and beers. So
you do it the hard way. You go touring all the time instead of going commercial and making a hit single again.
Well, you know what? If one, we never concentrated on making a hit single on any record. If it happened, it happened. You know, we just try to make the best song possible. I think when you start doing stuff like that, although a lot of people are successful with that way of thinking, it would have to be a song that I loved, you know. If someone can come up to me and go, well, that's a hit song, but if I'm not into it, or Rachel isn't into it, or whoever isn't into it, we're not going to do it, because it'd be half-assed, you know what I mean? And, yeah, it'd be great to have another hit single or two or whatever, but it'd have to be on our own terms. You know, and that might be very narrow-minded in today's world, you know, because it's either you have a hit or you're out, you know, type of thing. There's no development of bands anymore, it seems, you know, especially in the States. People don't take the time. They don't invest the time and effort because everybody's so worried about losing their job that if they don't have a hit song, immediately you're out on the street, you know. So everyone's very fearful of that. And by us doing it mostly on our own, you know, we make the choices and the decisions, and if something occurs like that, great. And in spots around North America, it's occurred, and hopefully that'll, you know, have the domino theory where it'll spread. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I'm totally cool with everything, you know. everything that comes our way, you know. Because we make the decisions. It's our band, you know. We take care of everything, whether it's the T-shirts and the marketing and the promotion and whatever. We take care of everything, and that's very gratifying. It's a lot of hard work on everybody, but it's very gratifying.